Hello, and welcome back to Shiz and Giggles. First, I just want to say happy December. Can you believe it is the 12th month of 2020? What a year. And today, I have some special guests joining me. My first guest I want to introduce into the show is Christine. Hello, Miss Christine. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great. It is also crazy to me that it's already December. That's actually insane. I feel like November was like a day long.
I feel the same exact way. And I'm wondering if our next co host is feeling the same way. I'm going to introduce Miss Andrea. How are you doing this week?
Happy March.
It's March.
The 20th anniversary of March.
Honestly, that's what this entire year feels like.
Oh my gosh. So glad to be with you, Sam. Happy December, everybody. Happy.
So glad you guys could all join me today. We have an interesting topic. It's something that's been circulating around the news a lot. It's been circulating since, I want to say May is when conversation really started, but right now it's picking back up, and that is, you guessed it, COVID-19 vaccine. Let's talk about this. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Pfizer and biotech are the two leading companies in developing this entire vaccine. They've really been at the forefront of this entire kind of scene. And they are estimating that the first round of vaccines might actually go out this month. I believe some dates are even as soon as December 11th, which is just crazy to me. Given how fast the development has kind of arisen. But I'm curious, Christine, I'm going to start with you. How do you feel about the COVID-19 vaccine? There are a lot of talks right now in regards to feelings about it. There was even one report in Pew Research where kind of people in May, it's been a 21% drop of people who are saying they would get the vaccine when it comes out. And a lot of that is kind of because of how fast the development has happened. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the vaccine, how soon it's coming?
Honestly, I think it's great that we have a vaccine. I know that there's been a lot of like testing and research and clinicals that have gone into this whole process. So it's really good that we've been able to come up with something to prove, I guess, to produce and give out to the public in a way. But it is kind of scary since, like you did say, it was created a little fast. I mean, it's good. It's good that we have something to just show the world that we're making improvements. But I do understand how it can be kind of scary. Like, I know my mom was talking about it, like, during Thanksgiving break. She was like, I don't know what they're going to be putting into my body, but if it helps the world, then I think I'll be willing to try. So I think that was, like, one good way to think of it. Yeah.
That's a really cool way to think of it. I think there was a lot of sentiment in that research as well that talked about people wanted to make sure that they are helping others, and if they know that they're not hurting society, then they're willing to kind of get it, even if it is a really quick kind of development. Andrea, what are your thoughts on sort of the COVID-19 vaccine, time frame, anything that comes up to mind?
Okay, here's what I think. Just my opinion. I am gonna volunteer to go middle to last. That's what I think. I'm one of those people that's like, this is the fastest vaccine in human history. Well, at least recorded human history. And so I think that's really cool. But I will tell you, I am nervous about it. And I know that recently, I think it was our most recent president, Barack Obama, said he was going to do it on TV to show that it's safe and whatever. And I'm like, he can totally do that. That does not change my opinion on any of those things. But I do trust like Pfizer, the company, and Moderna, who have like really worked hard. And I know AstraZeneca has one in the UK that I think they're going to roll out really soon. So I think it's great. I think those companies are big names, known for a lot. I mean, Pfizer is the people that invented Viagra. So, that's changed people's lives. So they're known for really um, dynamic shifting drugs. So I don't distrust Pfizer. I just think has there been enough people in the sample population? So, like, has it been tested on pregnant people? Not that I'm pregnant, but I'm just that's news for everybody here. I just dropped a bomb. But no, has it been tested on pregnant people, people of a certain age, young people? Like, how big is that sample size of people that are under 18? How big is the sample size of people that are obese or people of color or whatever? So there's certain things I'd want to know.
I agree with you on that. I think I'm the same way. I'm sort of a middle person, middle to last, middle kind of person, where I'm like, I want to first of all, I need to educate myself more on it. And I think that's a important thing is that you do your own research and you find the information that you need and really deep dive into it if it's something you are concerned about. And I think that interesting point that you brought up of President Obama said he would take it on camera, and he's not even the only president that said that. Former presidents Bush and Clinton also said that in an NPR article that came out, I believe it was yesterday. They kind of reported on that and why they are willing to take it on camera and to show the public that it is safe and that they trust it as well. And I think that goes a long way to kind of telling people like we trust it too, That's it. Just I would definitely prefer to take it a little later on. I just want to know more about it first. But that brings me to like this next question of kind of talking about how and what distribution will look like. So, the CDC has recommended that 4 groups of people get it first. And those 4 groups are healthcare workers, workers in essential and critical industries, people with underlying medical conditions that may put them at risk for severe COVID-19 illness, and then people age 65 or older. So, that's sort of where the distribution is looking at right now from the CDC and how they'll kind of put it out there. So to your point, Andrea, um, I'm not sure about like having had it tested on like people with illnesses, pregnancy, anything like that, but they are kind of in the group that would get it first. And what are your thoughts on how that distribution plan looks? And do you guys have any kind of ideas into that or any opinions?
I think that's awesome that they already have like, I guess, a priority of group of people who would need it more. I guess, especially like the frontline healthcare workers who have literally put their lives on the line and their families' lives on the line and their housemates' lives on the line just to help, I guess, just help others, being super selfless and being super caring in a time where we should distance ourselves, but we should also help people as much as we can. But I think that's really, really good that they already established like, hey, these are the people that should have priority. And then it's also really good that the presidents and the past presidents are being like, hey, I'm going to show you that I'm going to get the vaccine and that you should get it too if you're willing, if you do your research and if you are, I guess, comfortable enough to do so. But I'm going to do it, so I'm going to show you that I'm comfortable with getting it. And I think that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Christine. I think it's great. I still am gonna wait. Like I think it's wonderful. I want them to get it. I want it to be great for everybody. But I don't have a deep desire to be like the first person in line. And I do think there are some people that really do need it first. And that is one thing that I have to say for the entire medical community in their approach to the vaccine, which especially even Operation Warp Speed, gotta give that, first of all, great name, but great marketing. And then secondly, I do think that it was needed. It was just everybody had to be able to help out. So, like I said, I'm excited. If anything that'll allow us to get back to being with our families and people that we love, the extended families that aren't in our household, and anything that'll allow us to do events again, the events that we love, the in-person ones that we do, I'm all for it. All for it.
I definitely agree with that. I think, this year has really challenged us in how we connect with people and finding new ways to connect with people and keep these networks alive. And you bring up this great point, Andrea. It's like you smoothly transitioned for me. um, you know, I'd love your kind of insight being an industry professional, especially in events and being in this industry for so long. In my few months that I've been here as an intern, I've learned a lot about how kind of we've shifted and the importance of being able to shift and be on your toes when something like a pandemic happens. But what's this vaccine going how is this vaccine going to affect the future of larger gatherings or, other types of events? And especially as we start to very slowly shift back into in-person events.
So, what would be cool? And I think everyone knows it. What would be really cool is if it was like the movies, right? So, if it was like, uh, people could get the vaccine and then they go out into normal life again. Like, so as you get it, you get chipped or bracelet or whatever that says you had the vaccine, so you're good. Your papers, if you will. The only thing is, I don't think we're ready for that as a country to be able to even handle that kind of process where it's like, hey, you can come because you've had the vaccine, but because you haven't had the vaccine, then you can't come to this event. So I think it's a all or nothing situation. I think we almost have to wait till we hit a tipping point where it's like greater than 60-70% of the country has received the vaccine in order for us to go back to in-person events. And here's the other thing. All right, the issue with this is I don't think you can force people to get a vaccine, right? So COVID is a thing that is going to be with us for quite some time. Because if somebody doesn't want to get a vaccine, they are not going to get a vaccine. But then guess what? They could get COVID and then try to pass it to other people. So it takes a while for vaccines to be just distributed. And so getting us back into in-person events, I personally don't see it happening. Like, I don't think we're gonna get vaccines in December, and then we can start doing in-person events by February. I think that's like, a little too optimistic. I think, we're gonna have to wait till the majority of us are vaccinated. That's what I think.
You bring up such a interesting point, especially at the beginning when you mentioned sort of like a bracelet or something to identify that you have received the vaccine. I know a few weeks ago, kind of more in November, Ticketmaster, it went around the news that Ticketmaster was going to launch a plan where there has to be like a status check before you can enter a concert or venue or whatever it may be in order for you to actually participate in it. And there was a lot of backfire on that and people were unhappy about that. And it's kind of exactly to your point of like, are we as a country ready for that sort of process and that sort of shift? And now they've kind of backtracked a little bit. I think the president of Ticketmaster in an article also said, we're not going to do this yet. Nothing's like set in stone. But that is a challenge that I think event companies and the industry as a whole is going to have to shift and find because, again, in my few months of being here in events, like things can happen and change. So you have to be kind of ready and on your A game. And I'm curious, Christine, we have had I think we've participated in one in-person event that AAP held. It was very socially distanced by the rules through and through, and gloves, masks, sanitizer. Everything was 6 feet apart or even further. I think we did 10 feet apart. Um, what have you noticed kind of in your few months here of how kind of this vaccine might affect our industry after hearing what Andrea gave us from her more expert point of view?
So it's wild because I know, like, similar to the Ticketmaster situation with their whole like potential solution, I know colleges around the country have also tried to do, I guess, like daily health checkups, and they would send an email to your phone, and then you would check if you have these symptoms or not. And then if you do have the symptoms, then they would be like, hey, you should go get tested. And if you do get tested and you get tested positive or negative, it like has it on your record. So the school then has your record of if you have COVID or not. And I guess like in the spring semester, a lot of colleges are using that same system and they're upgrading it in a way. So for like some buildings, students won't be able to access the building if they don't have, if they haven't like checked off that they've tested negative, or they're like completely safe, or they haven't been on campus for a while. So that's kind of one way to look at, I guess, moving towards a more organized future, I guess, in a way. But that's like a plan for the future. So I have no idea how that's actually going to play through. I have no idea if students are actually going to like partake in the rules that the schools have set out. But it's very interesting. But yes, again, talking about the events and the event planning industry, I guess it's like, I would say the industry as a whole is like super, super good at like learning and thinking on their feet and learning to adapt as soon as possible, as soon as any slight change might happen. So honestly, I think the industry is doing pretty well. And there's probably going to be like even better changes and even like more innovative ways to connect people and host events and host like meetings and conferences and even just like a get together. So I think in a way, even if things do get back to, even if things do get better in like, I don't know, 5 years from now, we'll still have these innovative ways to meet with others that we had during the pandemic, but we'll still have more options in a way. So it gives us more of a learning curve, and it also gives us more opportunities in the future.
I like that a lot, especially sort of, this year might have caused like a big shift and a lot of learning curves. We do have a lot of new ways to implement technology into even live events and trying to find that. I remember the in-person event, we did a virtual photo booth, which was so cool. Like, people were able to take pictures with their phones, and there was a green screen behind them where they could do a GIF or a video, whatever it is. And it was like streamed for others to see and enjoy and kind of see how people are having fun. So I think you're right in that point. And I really like that point of yours. Let's see. I agree with both of you. And especially to the point of, how will we regulate, and are we ready to regulate in a way? Is it too extreme if there's some sort of labeling or tagging or anything of sorts? And it's going to be a shift, and even after this vaccine is going to cause just as much as a shift as COVID did. And I don't know if we'll ever go back to like normal. I think there's definitely a new normal, and this vaccine's going to start to set the tone for that as well. I'm wondering, do you guys have any kind of last minute thoughts about this vaccine? Any messages to our viewers?
I say this is what just my thoughts, but I think you have to do what's best for you. And I know you can't force anyone to take a vaccine, but here's what we all know. We all know that we're not going to be able to go back to normal until this is over. So I think anything that helps speed that along is great. If it helps save lives or people who could get sick and they would suffer harm from it, I'm for it. So I think it's a good thing. I'm not saying I just don't want people to think like Andrea is one of those. I am kind of one of those, but I think it's a great, great, great thing. I think the vaccine. My question though is like if you've had COVID and you have antibodies, do you need to take the vaccine? I guess. I don't know. We're not experts, but I'm just wondering.
It's an excellent point. I was actually thinking about that on my drive, like to work this morning. I was literally thinking about sort of everything that's happening in the world, and I was like, if someone has had COVID, like, can they get it again? Is it as severe? Does it create some sort of antibodies? A lot of questions, and I am not an expert in this, and I have a lot of research to do. And I think one key thing, what just like Andrea said, you got to make the decision that's best for you. And whatever that is, I just encourage that you are well read about it and you are informed and you look at multiple sources and you really try to dive in and understand before you make a decision. Something like this, especially to the point of, you know what, like, this is your life and this is also others' life. I don't mean to like put such a heavy burden on anyone or anything, but I think it's something to be conscious and aware of. And I think one key takeaway we all took from this sort of conversation, something I took from this, is that to inform myself and learn more about this vaccine and watch Obama, I guess, when he takes the vaccine.
I will indeed be watching.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for when that's happening. But I am wondering, does anyone have any last thoughts before we wrap up today and say goodbye to our audience?
The only thing I would say is everybody have a great weekend. Okay. We have about a month left
Yes.
of 2020, and that is it. So, any of the things that are on your resolution list from 2020, now is the time to start resolving them. I think a lot of people's resolutions may have either strengthened or they went by the wayside. So, we have 1 month left, about a little less than a month left until we get into a new year. And I think for most people, they'd probably be like, good riddance,
Yeah.
2020. I, I think they would say, we're not sad to see you go. But again, about a month left. There's still plenty of time to do the things that you want to do for yourself, things that'll make you better, growth opportunities. So just be thinking about that. About a month left.
Only a month left. Less than a month. This is crazy. But yes, I hope that everyone kind of works towards wrapping up this year in a great way. And I know I'm looking forward to 2021, but I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined us today for this conversation. Listen to us. I hope you got something out of this conversation. It was helpful to you, it was insightful to you in some sort of way, any way that it is for you. And I just want to remind everyone, please stay safe. The holidays are coming around the corner. Drive safely, wear your mask, be safe, be conscious, be aware. And last reminder is that we stream every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you again for my co-hosts who joined me this afternoon. And I hope everyone has a safe and happy weekend. Thank you, guys.